So what are the best birth signs, and what do all the birth signs do? So this is a pretty big decision when making a build in the Oblivion Remake, and in Oblivion in general, because a lot of these are really good, and some of them are borderline useless. So let's go over all of them, and then we'll kind of give them like a brief rating, call out like what builds they could be good in, and when you would want them. Alright, so let's start with the Warrior. So the Warrior gives you endurance and strength. Strength is more melee damage, endurance is more health. So if you want to run a main tank build where you're on like heavy armor or something and you want more physical damage and more health, this is always a good sign. It's not the best, but it's serviceable. It's definitely good. I would say this is like a 7 out of 10. It's like decent. Next we have the Mage, just straight up 50 more magicka with no downsides. This is pretty nice. If you are planning on running heavy magic, this is a viable option. It's definitely good. I would give it like maybe an 8 or an 8.5 out of 10. It's pretty solid. Next is the Thief. Now the Thief gives you 10 speed, which means you move faster. It also gives you agility, which means short sword damage, bow damage, and dagger damage. So if you're going for any of those weapon types, or you just want to run some kind of like stealth build with like a dagger, Thief is really good. You get speed. It helps you with your stealth. Luck also influences all of your stats. The way it worked in Oblivion is I think it gave you like a small percentage of the effect of each stat. So having increased luck does improve like stamina, magicka, and so on. At least that's how it worked in the original game. So either way though, agility and speed are valuable, so this is very solid. For stealth build, I would give this like a 9 out of 10. You can also run this on other classes because it gives you speed, and speed is good. Next is Steed, which is just straight up huge speed increase. 20 movement speed. This is crazy. If you want to go fast, no matter what you're doing, Steed is the thing you want. 20 speed is no joke, especially if you have 50 base. You're looking at 70 speed to start the game off with. Pretty insane, really good. It's good on pretty much every build. It doesn't really improve your damage, which, you know, can be an issue in this game, especially on Master Mode, but it makes you fast as hell, and you can always just run away. Next is the Apprentice. The Apprentice is interesting because it gives you 100 magicka, but the downside is substantial. 100% weakness to magic. Now, if I am on Breton and I have 50% magic resist, this is not as much of a downside. I would give this like an 8 out of 10 roughly. It's still solid. It's definitely good for like a glass cannon, assuming you're just not going to let yourself get hit by magic, which you can kind of use summons and play angles to not get attacked and get hit with projectiles. And that's what I've been doing on my high elf run right now. But for this current run, I'm going to be trying something else out. But it's a solid option, gives you a ton of magicka. The thing is though, the downside of the Apprentice is in late game when you start getting crazy enchantments. 100 magicka doesn't really matter as much. So it's only really good early to middle game, then it starts to fall off. So I don't really know how valuable it is long term. Next is the Shadow. This is one of the ones that I never liked, even in base game. So you get a once per day ability that gives you invisibility for 60 seconds. And the way invisibility works, or at least how it used to work, is you are basically in a chameleon effect, but as soon as you activate something, you lose that effect. So this can get you like a kill, you can sneak by people, you can break into houses. It can be kind of valuable, but compared to 20 speed and all these other stats, it's just not really there. And the ability definitely falls off in late game when, you know, getting invis is really not that big of a deal. So I would say completely skip the Shadow, it's not worth it. Next is the Ritual. So the Ritual at least gives you 2 abilities, but it doesn't give you stats. So Blessed Word forces the undead to flee in horror for 30 seconds, can be used multiple times per day at the cost of 40 magicka per cast. So that's not terrible. Forcing undead to flee. It's pretty like niche though. It's not like everything is undead. So, and also, I guess it doesn't really say a level, so maybe it works against any level. That might not be the case, but you also do get this restore 200 HP per day, can be used once, or restore 200 HP can be used once per day. Now there's this thing you can do called waiting, where if enemies aren't within range, you can wait to heal. Making Mara's Gift not really the best thing. It's not bad for a spike heal, but this is just too random. I don't recommend running Ritual. Atronach is very interesting. If you do not plan on using magic, this is great to run. If you're just going to be using potions and alchemy to get all of your heals off, like you just spam potions and craft potions, you can just run this to get 50% spell absorption, which absorbs... So the way it works, 50% chance of absorbing spells cast at you. So half the time, any offensive spell gets converted into magicka. You also gain 150 magicka points. So you get a huge magicka pool. You have 50% chance to absorb spells. Now, if you can get another effect that gives you 50% spell absorption, and your spell absorption is 100%, you're immune to magic. Congratulations. So this is a good like combo piece for enchanting in the future or running a spell absorption in the future, because if you get that percentage up to 100, you are now immune to spells. So this can be good for that for late game. And also if you play around it, if you get like Alien Stones and a bunch of like magicka potions and things like this, you can still play around it. If you get intentionally hit by spells to reset magicka, there's ways to like deal with the fact that magicka regen does not occur anymore. But if you don't plan on using magic at all, you're running like some kind of stealth build, you want some extra tanking, whatever, this can help you tank magic. But it's very circumstantial, and it really depends. It's not as good as just straight up stats, because there's like huge like downsides and trade-offs. So I'd give this like a 6 or 7 out of 10. The tower, this is another one I don't recommend doing. Opens locks of average difficulty can be used once per day. It's just so random. And then reflect 5% of incoming damage for 120%, or sorry, for 120 seconds. Can be used once per day. It's not good. Skip it. It's terrible. Next we have the Lord. This is good. Shield increases armor rating by 15. Resist magic increases magic resist by 15%. If you are looking to tank and you're looking to remove magic as a threat to you, if you run Breton with the Lord, you can get 65% magic resist before you even leave the tutorial. So anything that hits you offensively from an enemy spell is only 35% effective, which is ridiculous. And then if you can just find that other 35% magic resist, you're immune to enemy magic. So this actually is pretty crazy. The shield is just a bonus on top, but really, this is really good for tanking. And I would say it's probably one of the better ones of all of these. I'm going to give this like a 9 out of 10, maybe 9.5. But you also have to consider, like, for late game, you can hit 100% magic resist pretty easily. Okay, and then we have the Lady. So the Lady's interesting because it gives 2 stats, but 2 stats that are more, like, kind of unrelated. Like, Endurance gives you health, and Willpower is magicka regen. So both of these are good effects. So depending on your build, this could be what your build is missing. Willpower is always good for magicka regen, and obviously Endurance is for tanking. So you could even run this just for the Endurance on, like, a tank. But also consider that you get Endurance and Strength on the Warrior. So this is more for like a Spellblade heavy tank type of build, or like light tank, like light armor tank, that you're looking for extra health so that when you get hit, you can kind of tank it. Then next we have the Lover, which I consider to be the Lady but worse. So Lover's Kiss, greater power once per day, paralyzes the target for 10 seconds, reduces the caster's fatigue by 120 points, can be used once per day. So you get a paralyzed spell. Unfortunately, a lot of things, at least when I played Oblivion, were kind of like resistant to Paralyze, and it was like inconsistent with how it worked. Paralyze is a powerful effect though, so when it does work, you basically just get to shut something down for like 10 seconds, assuming they don't have like magic resist to reduce the duration, which I'm fairly certain that's how that works, but it still needs testing, so if I'm wrong, just, you know, if you've tested it, just let me know. But trading like all these crazy stats early that help you out, especially if you're on like master mode, for like a once a day paralyze is just not worth it, especially if you're fighting multiple enemies that are difficult. You need a better strategy than this. This is just like, it's unfortunate they didn't really buff these too much. Like, I think Shadow should give you like 10 speed or something, or 10 agility in addition to the power. Like, I think if they're gonna be offering me, you know, like, what's better, the Thief or the Shadow? Going invis, or just straight up getting 10 and 3 really good stats? It's not even close, man. Same thing with the Lover. It's like the Lady's better, the Lord is way better, even the Atronach is better. So the Lover I would skip. The Serpent, so This one's a little interesting, but it's not really clear it's very good. It deals 3 points of damage for 20 seconds, so 60 damage over time. Also cures poison, dispels 90 points, and damage fatigue to the caster can be used once per day. This is another one that's just like weird. I don't really see the value in it. Now you can wait, like if you can rest or wait or whatever after using these daily powers to wait a full day and then use them again multiple times in a dungeon, and that can kind of help you, but this is not a very like potent effect. And if you're relying on like 60 damage over 20 seconds to kill, there's better ways to do it. Straight up just poison is better. Like if you just slap poison on a bow and just start shooting things like with stealth attacks, you're getting initial damage from the bow attack, you're getting poison from just like alchemy. This is just worse than alchemy. This is just worse than lockpicking. Shadow is worse than illusion magic. The lover is worse than illusion magic. Like, unfortunately, these things are just like straight up outclassed. But at least, all right, so of the good ones, Warrior's good for tank builds, for improving physical damage, even if you don't want the tanking. So damage fixing physical, improving tanking. Mage is just good for magicka. Thief is good for stealth builds, for extra speed, for agility if you're doing like a kind of fast like dagger build where you run around and like slash at people, or like short sword build, or a bow build. In or out of stealth, that's great for all of it. It's also good for speed increase. Steed is great for speed increase. Apprentice is kind of high risk, moderate reward, where the reward over time becomes worse and worse. The susceptibility to magic does become a big problem in late game where enemies are crazy and there's just spells flying everywhere. So you do have to kind of like play around this, but obviously if you're planning on getting 100% like magic reflect or whatever, or magic resist, then you're going to be fine. The weakness of magic won't do anything because you'll take no effect from it. Then Shadow I would skip, Ritual I would skip, Atronach, run it if you know what you're doing, or if you know you're not going to be using magic. You get huge magic increase, you get 50% spell absorption. Both of those are huge value if you don't plan on using magic. Tower I would skip. Lord is great for stacking resist magic early, especially with Breton. Also, it's good on tank builds because you get just a little bit of magic resist, and you also get some tanking on physical, increasing your armor rating. So it's good with light armor builds. It's good with no armor builds. It gives you some armor. It's pretty nice. The Lady, decent stats, willpower for regen, endurance for health. Both of those are fine. Both of those are decent. In this case, I'm going to be going for Lord to stack my magic resist on Breton, putting me at 65%. But if you enjoyed this or found this useful, definitely drop a comment as to what you think the best birth signs are and why. And make sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.